joining us. This is Mayegun live. Thank you very much for joining me. As usual, please read beyond the caption of the broadcast. Read the description of this broadcast. Like it. Share it. Invite your friends. Invite your not so friendly friends. Tell all of them that Mayegun today, Mayegun is live. And if you have done that already, thank you. In manifold, thank you. So tonight, we are starting from the alarm raised by Peter Obi, which has kind of put a lot of the Obidients on alert. Because knowing the history of Tifnumbu and his politics, there is a chance that a threat against Peter Obi should not be taken with levity. And Peter Obi himself has come out now to confirm that since that time or since that day, he gave the State of the Nation address and advised Tifnumbu to tamper justice with mercy, tamper shege with mercy, rather. Shege with mercy. He has been receiving direct threats to himself and his family. The only one that is made public is that one from Felix Morka, the APC, a spokesperson. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the APC, the Akpanyo People's Congress, Al-Qaeda People's Congress themselves also came out to say, come on, man, don't be a snowflake. Nobody is threatening you. We are just replying to your jibe. You called, there's different. They said there's difference between criticizing government or advising government and then inciting people. To them, they believe that Peter Obi's criticism is not criticism. It is not opposition. It is, in fact, an incitement for asking Tifnumbu to stay back in Nigeria and possibly travel around the states in Nigeria to fill the pulse of the people is ruining, is considered as an incitement. So that's where we're going to start it tonight. Just about 4 days, is it 4 days now or 5 days now? In part of the State of the Nigerian Nation addressed by Peter Obi, there is a part where he categorically said this.
I want us to sit down one of these days and talk about the opposition and how the opposition will be effective. Our democracy is faulty. It wasn't designed to support the opposition. Oppositions here are actually in difficulty. If I tell you what I face, what I go through, what my family go through, you wouldn't even believe I will still be standing and going around this country. But I've made up my mind that if this is the end, so be it. Because we can't allow the country. It is difficult to be in opposition in this country. Extremely difficult. Because everything is against you. People don't even want to see you. They don't even want to talk to you. I see colleagues that greet them at the airport, they don't even want to reply. Because they feel they don't want the government of the day to see you or see them greeting you. Your businesses, everything you're involved is being dismantled. That is not a country. We need to show more commitment to the future of our country. None of us is going to live here forever. So we must build a better society for our children. And to build it, some of us will take the risk. That's the part of what Dele and Co. also going through. And not just him, every person, even the oppositions, at local government level, at state level, everywhere, are going through that. So for me, we are actually doing a lot if we're doing everything on our own.
So that part where that won't be the first time that Peter Obi would lament on how people have been doing everything to avoid him, because himself and the Obidients, they are considered the biggest threats to Tifnumbu's illegitimate regime. Although they will kind of play it down, usually they will say they have no structure, this or that, but the Obidients and Obi himself remains the biggest threats to Tifnumbu's political, Tifnumbu looked like he's got all these ass-lickers around him. You know what I mean? Like people who are like kowtowing to him and the rest of that. But all of these are like substanceless, set of eye service of a thing. Because in the last charade they had, it became obvious that except that Yakubu came to the rescue of Tifnumbu, by now, Tifnumbu would have become an internally displaced politician, because you know what would have happened? They would have lost Lagos. Tifnumbu won't be your president. Majority of those who are miling around him right now, they won't. It would have been forgotten totally. Tifnumbu and this, political base in Lagos was demystified by disobedience. And it didn't stop there, okay? Majority of the political heavyweights in that contraption got demystified by disobedience until Yakubu came to their rescue last minute. Lagos was supposed to be the traditional base of Tifnumbu. It was demystified, it was destroyed politically there. He could barely score 150,000 votes in his own supposed Lagos. Sonweku and the rest of them, they had to kind of employ a warlike tactic, increase their tribal ethnic baiting, hatred, and the rest of this. This is not like a years ago. We are talking about just less than 2 years ago that this happened. Tifnumbu didn't win any real loyal election anywhere. The very wicked that is now jumping up and down around him today had to actually like kill people. He killed electoral officers just to make sure that they managed to rig something that he is now using as his own leverage with Tifnumbu today. So Tifnumbu's political heavyweight nonsense is only exists in the imagination of his fellow, his humbled voluntary slaves. Let's just be realistic. Let's be honest. Because the initial thing was that they had no structure, no structures, no structure that. Until when their election results started pouring in, or more, they had to turn off, shut down the website, turn off their IREF, and then they started rolling out their fake figures. So Tifnumbu's political weight that people tell you about is only exists in the imagination of his ass lickers. Tifnumbu can't participate he can't really participate in anything called free and fair election. And APC, generally, they've never had that chance. The only time they had it was in 2015. And they even had to kind of like add an extra rig into it too. So these Obidients were supposed to have vanished by now. But sadly for this APC, they are not. They are not vanishing. Confessor Soyinka, who called them fascist. Fascists are those that will say, except you do things our way. If you don't do things our way, you are considered an enemy. So he called the Obidients the fascists. Meanwhile, the real fascists are the APC, who considered everyone that rejects them as an enemy. And they are not just that, they have become hostile. You understand what that means? Like hostile to anybody or any group of people that rejects Tifnumbu. They will come for you. If they don't physically attack you, right? Then they will economically come for you, come for your source of livelihood. And this is why the Obidients are the most the most dreaded political group in that contraption today. They are those that they believe Obi inheriting them or following Obi to them is like, you know, a bigger threat, kind of. And every time Peter Obi says something in critiquing this illegitimate regime of Tifnumbu, they sort of feel automatically like he's inciting his base. Maybe it's going to be a matter of time before these Nigerians are going to pounce on them, you know? And that is why when this guy was asked to react, the next thing he did was to actually threaten Obi by saying,
No. He is the one that's throwing that. Mr. Obi is shooting from the hip. He's not looking. He's not taking an aim. He just, you know, I mean, shoots widely like, you know, what we used to see in movies back in the day, in the Wild Wild West. He is not being rational. He's absolutely irrational in his thinking and in his public commentary for a man who was governor for 8 years, who left nothing to remember in Anambra State by way of a legacy or transformation. But all of a sudden, you know, he served as governor 8 years. He didn't have the wisdom or the smarts to change Anambra State, to make Anambra the beacon, you know, that example of, you know, governance in the country. But then, you know, he runs for president, you know, in 2023. And then now he didn't win. He's sulking rather than actually get a perspective and, you know, figure out what he did to lose so he can do better in the future. He would think that he can bring down the government by simply, you know, being maliciously deceptive. That is wrong. I'm not somebody to, you know, to go on that offensive in that manner. But Mr. Obi has crossed the line so many times. And I think that at this point, you know, he has coming to him whatever he gets, you know, he needs to manage it.
Do you get that? So that's Felix Morka, that mofo, right? It won't be the first time he actually passes, you know, threats, not just to Obi, but even to this Obidients as well. Like I said, you know, politically, they believe that these Obidients are a bigger threat. Because if there's going to be any uprising, the only person who can trigger an uprising in Nigeria is Peter Obi, whether you like it or not. He is the only person who has genuine followers. He's the only guy, after 2 years of election, he is still so relevant enough that they kind of fear what may happen if his base that they love to call the Obidients. They call them different names. They try to demoralize them. They try to gaslight them, blackmail them. You know, and these are the, you know, some of us believe that they are deluded, believing that Nigeria may work or Nigeria can work. And because of that, they say a better Nigeria or a working Nigeria is possible. Peter Obi, sort of a thing. But to some of us, we believe that it's actually a full delusion. But nevertheless, they are just Nigerians who feels like the country should work for everyone. If Nigeria works, it will be to the betterment of everyone. There are those who believe that a good governance is a right rather than living in your own country. And to them, anybody who can give them that good governance, right, will have their support. And they believe Obi will give it to them. So do you understand that mean? What that means is that it is only Peter Obi that actually has the sizable number of loyal followers. The followers that, if for any reason, Peter Obi, happen to be like this APC, Ronokus, is the only person who is capable of triggering a revolution in that contraption, whether you like it or not. But some people believe that he won't do it, because if you cycle around the whole thing, you realize that he himself is an elite, is also part of the system. He has his business in the system. He has his own investment in the system. So, and if anything if Nigeria should go up in smoke, and then the criminal elites in Nigeria are to be chased down, even the like of honest businessman like Peter Obi will not be spared. His own businesses may not even be spared too. So a lot of people believe that sentiment is the reason why Peter Obi can be like the APC, Ebekebe. He is the most influential politician in Nigeria of today. I'm not talking about tomorrow, but today is the most influential, powerful politician in that contraption. So his position on things actually rattles the people inside the APC. That's why they are throwing everything at him. Everything they can throw at him. Just maybe one of them will stick somehow. So he didn't say anything wrong. He reacted as he should, like a normal politician, okay, and opposition, by, speaking on behalf of those, at least if the Ronukus are not on his side, then what about the Obidients? Everyone exists inside this contraption today, facing the shege that Tinubu is dishing out. Nobody is spared. So if the Ronukus are comfortable, that's fine. But this guy has, millions of those who also look up to him, Abi. So he can speak for them too. And that is what APC, Ebekebe, dreads. So right now, with that direct threat that whatever Obi sees, he should take it, that he has crossed the line. What is crossing the line? Criticizing Tinubu is crossing the line in that contraption. They just haven't figured out what to do to him or how to deal with him, I believe. Meanwhile, the Obidients themselves are waiting. They are like anticipating that we are touching. Even he himself won't be able to hold them back. You know me, I have said this on my own, that anything that will shall cause katakata, destroy everything. I beg, if I dey sleep, wake me up. Because this fraudulent contraption held together by this fraudulent system needs to collapse. You understand? So if you are among those who are praying that things should work, I am not against your prayer, but I just know that your prayer will never be answered, because this whole thing needs to collapse. Whatever is going to trigger it, anything that is going to be the ignition that will ignite it, I am up for it. And that's one reason why I do not subscribe to bashing the Obidients on Mayegun's Diary Political, because yes, most of us believe that you, the Obidients, you are completely deluded, hoping that that contraption will work. You are like, it's a total delusion. But your delusion or your delusional belief is kind of like a good one, because if you keep believing and you keep trying to want to make that contraption work, and they continue to cheat you out of it, maybe one of these days, you are going to agree with us that it is not about your belief. It is how the system is set up to work. So maybe that can trigger something in you, and we can have this revolution finally. So that is why I see you as my friends. Not because you want a better Nigeria, because you will never get that. Not because you want a working Nigeria, because that will never happen. But the fact that you want it, all right, and you believe that you can have it. So one of these days, you are going to realize that you will never have it. And then, just by then, you are likely going to then be on our side to get the entire thing shut down. In reaction to this, a lot of people have been reacting, by the way. Immediately Peter Obi himself came out and said, it is true. You see this statement of, I have crossed the line many times. What does that even mean? An opposition crossed the line, criticizing the illegitimate regime, destroying the people, destroying the country, telling yourself that you are doing the right thing, even when people are groaning under the economic hardship and the directionless policies you are rolling out, crossing the line, like, don't talk about Tinubu or else we'll deal with you. They are the real fascists. So people have been reacting. The first set of the reactor is this guy who happened to be one of the Obedient, leaders, I'd say.
The APC is playing a very dangerous, divisive game in the Nigerian polity, and this will undermine everything that we stand for in our democratic process and also in the rule of law. I'll tell you very clearly that about 500 years before slavery, leaders of thoughts, both in the church and in the mosques, and scientists of, credible people, denigrated, spoke dehumanize the black people, and it was on the framework of those thoughts and those inscriptions that slavery took place. And I'll tell you, as somebody who has been to Rwanda countless times, if you read through the stories and the history, before the genocide, some people were referred to as cockroaches and trees and all kinds of that. When these rhetorics pervade our civic spaces, you see that danger is right on the way. You know, prior to the 2023 general election, you know, incidentally, our current president, dialoguing with his people, he said that elections and the processes that will lead to the emergence of a presidency is not just going to be given, that you have to snatch, you have to grab, and you have to run away with it. And you can see through the elections how Obidients were beaten out of polling booths in Lagos. They were shot at in River State. They were killed in Kano. You know, we lost a lot of people because of statements that are made. And to have not just an ordinary Nigerian, but the national publicity secretary of the APC to come on national TV. Felix Morka said directly that Mr. Peter Obi has crossed the line over and over again, and that what they have, when you listen to him very clearly, he said what's coming to him, meaning that affirming what Mr. Peter Obi has consistently said about the threat to his life, his businesses, and his family. He came out on national TV to affirm that, and then retracted back again to lie about it. I mean, why are the APC government behaving like bandits? It's only in Nigeria that bandits will send text to you, tell you that they're coming to kill you
But what Felix is claiming right now is that he's been taken out of context, and that he may not have meant entirely, you know, in any way, the way this narrative is being peddled. What's your reaction to that? Do you think he's taken out of context?
You see, yeah, it's important for me to finish my thought on this, because what Mr. Peter Obi did, or what he said, is written. It's actually a written speech that he gave. And I am not making any data up. It is the Bureau of Statistics in Nigeria that said that over 100 million Nigerians can barely eat in a day, that we're going through what you call multi-dimensional poverty by over 150 million people. These were the data that Mr. Peter Obi gave during his briefing. And I have never, home and abroad, I've never seen the opposition leader of any country on the face of the earth come out to advise and admonish and give a clear blueprint and direction to the government of the day to attend to people in a country where during the Christmas season over 100 Nigerians died for just trying to get food. And then you come up to what? To threaten. If telling Mr. Peter Obi that what is coming to you, you should manage it. If that is not a threat, then what is threat? The APC.
Do you get? Neyo, you see, well, maybe it is too blunt to say it is a delusion. All right? Because that's not even too blunt. I have some other harsh words to describe those who believes that Nigeria will work. Let me tell you the playbook, or the usual belief of some people. Some people believe that the problem of Nigeria is leadership. Once you elect a good leader, everybody will now follow the... Some believes that once we arrest all the past leaders and put them in jail, everything will be fine in Nigeria. This is delusion. Delusional at the level of a grandeur delusion or something like that. It is high level delusion. We don't have anything in common to call ourselves one Nigeria, to start with. Then secondly, the people need to decide. To have a country, right? You need the people to decide that they want to be together as a country in what is called the Article of Independence, Article of a Union, whereby every part, every unit or unit part of that country agrees to come together, and coming together to determine the type of government they want, the type of economy they want, and all other foundational, reasons why you want to actually live together. So if you don't have that, you don't have any country.